And we're live. Well, we'll let it do its loading screens. There we are. Come on. Hit me with the music. Please. There it is. I'm gonna turn that up a little bit in my headset here. Actually, I think I've been watching these a little bit, just kind of like, just gonna tweak the music down. Okay. The music's good, but like, I don't know, I've been watching these back like after I've streamed them, and I feel like sometimes the music just kind of gets a little overpowering, and I'm not, like, if I'm doing quiet voices and the music's bombastic, it shows. So, hopefully that should sound good. So, yeah, and I always forget, I try to have my, headphones just one ear on just so I can actually hear how the voices I'm doing sound. So by way of announcement, of course, we have the specialty stream for the end of the month that will be on October 30th, and that is going to be that's going to be doing the casual speed run again of Mega Man X. And then just kind of a heads up for today. My throat's been a little bit sore, so I am going to try to do a normal length stream, but if I feel like I'm pushing my limits a bit too much, I may just elect to duck out. I will try to make that not happen at a terrible time if it comes to that, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll be fine. But yeah. Yeah, I guess with that, let's go ahead and roll into it. Did a little bit of tinkering with a Nightbot to add the specialty command. So it's a exclamation point specialty. There is going to be, it has a function of being able to do like timed messages, so I might do that and I don't know, let people know about those things without having to just constantly just be like, hey, here's this thing, remember this thing? And yeah. I'm awful when it comes to like trying to promote, here's all these other things, and again, like, part of that's intentional because they want this to be kind of casual, but alright, I think so. Where we left off, we met the famous / infamous Herlock Sholmes, who accused us of being a Russian assassin, killing 16 people and then killing Kazuma. And, but he went over to this other cabin to investigate something that was written. Drop frames. How bad is that? That's about on par. I've been having network issues the past couple days, so hopefully it's not going to be terrible, but who knows? We'll find out, I'm sure. So, but yeah. With all that said, we're gonna go over to investigate the other cabin. Thanks to that so-called detective. Man. Voices. I'm even more stuck inside this cabin than I was before. For the time being, I suppose I'll just have to focus my efforts on investigating here. Okay, so I do need to investigate here for a little bit. We'll talk to the sailor guy. Excuse me. What? I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. Would you mind if I investigated a little outside? Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it's not true, I see. Sorry, A criminal asking prison guard to help him escape. Very funny. We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping. Yet. You stay in this cabin until next port. Then, it is up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you. You stay. Alright. There's no point in trying to appeal to this man's better nature, that's for sure. Ah, the voices. Okay. We've investigated a lot of stuff. What else can we... I guess we can check this out. I'm getting a lot of notifications of drop frames, which is hopefully not gonna negatively impact. Actually, let me check a thing before we get too far. Okay, just closing out a couple programs and hoping that will settle things. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Burya. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. Oh, look over there. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? That's what I thought. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again, but I suppose I could try. Wait, is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes. What can I do for you? Oh. I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I've received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. it was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How can that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't get Asogi-san to a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin. Not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So, if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes. So, we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Hey, Jake. Oh yeah, Osanaga has that quality about him. I don't know if there's like something more to like the coughing up blood, or if it's just kind of like a trait. I don't know. It's a weird thing that like I'm not sure on. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence. It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. So, and we're still in like the tutorial bit of the game. The first chapter is all about the trial, and the second chapter is all about investigation. So I think at this point, we need this. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, "What looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill." A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I could do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just let's move and we can leave this cabin at last. Oh, alright. Let's see what we can find out. And so the investigation continues. I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on the study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, it's about twice as large as my accommodation steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch. And he looks enormous, even if he's just sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs. Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to this ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since then I've been shut inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please don't give me that pitying look. Alright. Trying to remember the controls. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. At some door. Oh, Excuse me, we need to get inside this cabin here. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, "Keep out." That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. Well, what do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, "Press only in times of emergency." It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, what are you doing, Naruto-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop. The ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect everyone else. A trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although, they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what's called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. That's so weird. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really, but... I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Cosmo's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. Aww. This looks like a plan of the SS Buria. It shows each dock. Look. The Buria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. Oh, this game. I love just kind of the little nods that you get of like, yes, this is like set in a very long time ago. That's a huge book on top of the table there. And there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. That scowl right now. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Can I talk to you? Excuse me, but could I ask you something?
You little stowaway murderer.
That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask you something of you?
You little third-class lady's maid.
Oh. We seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Suzato-san.
I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, beef stroganoff.
Ooh. The best thing is to just avoid eye contact, I think. Also, again, the names in this, beef stroganoff. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area.
Here we are in finest part of Booyah steamship, for very important persons.
What sort of very important persons?
Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you into ocean. But Stroganoff is not animal.
Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin area next to Mr. Osogi's currently occupied?
Da.
Suzato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes, or no. Genius.
It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation.
Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the next in the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's?
His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman.
Oh, Western gentleman?
Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy.
How can you be so sure about that?
Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East islands.
That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard?
That is not your business.
Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like anyone's there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must have been rather important. Is that right?
That is not your business.
Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff?
Da, all time, so criminals like you cannot come in or get out.
I wonder, Could you tell us anything about last night at all?
It is sad about student boy.
Were you on watch last night as well?
Of course.
And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual?
Yet.
I can't read Russian, but I at least know that one. Suzato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no.
I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all.
And you didn't hear any strange noises, or sense anything was wrong in some way?
I said no!
Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there.
This is enough. I cannot say more now.
Oh,
It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin.
yes, alright.
Bulkhead to second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly.
Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help us solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help us with our inquiries. How annoying. That is all the scream that I can muster right now. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman.
Stand aside.
Oh, whoops. Sholmes. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes? I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't. Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray tell, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief.
Who are you?
A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream.
A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin.
True. This old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed?
Get out, all of you, now!
Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe.
Yes, that's me. And you are?
I am the one and only, the actual Sherlock Holmes. You've heard of me, no doubt.
No. I'm a great detective among great detectives. One who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my! Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. The case just shook. Leave, now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimesby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. I'll start with talking to you. Mr. Roylott, we'd like to talk to you about something. No! Oh, I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now! This is going terribly. We're not getting anywhere here. I agree. But there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. Let's go ahead and take a look at the detective who's just chilling in the wardrobe. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of deduction into service. Oh. And it would seem the hour is upon us now. The time has come.
This is gonna be fun.
Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually. You're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? I don't think I read that right. Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please.
Here we go.
Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case.
Here we go.
Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask? What? From time to time, it occurs to me, is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you or anyone else. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes? I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh. I must have complete silence.
What are you doing? Why are you peering in at my face like that?
Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions.
What do you mean?
Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you've been discovered. Does it not?
Ah!
Oh, Naruhodo-san! I never imagined we would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle? Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced this astounding impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the colour is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right.
How can you...
How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So, do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. I'm gonna move my mic a little bit. Feels like it's just kind of like lowering on me, and I haven't eaten dinner yet, and I feel like the energy draining right now. Here we go. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. First, on the topic of the old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pairs of shears in your hand. Now, as we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on this matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front page article, which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further further clarification. Evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard.
I love how, this just flows.
Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Conclusion, a revolutionary on the run. On to the second topic, wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And, I assure you, I speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare.
No, I refuse.
What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, one slight enough to fit therein.
Don't be absurd.
And what, pray, would the identity of this young lady... and what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the travelling case? Dear me, we're not well suited for a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil, I have no clue how to say that, betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your travelling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another, most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Conclusion, kidnapping of a young ballerina. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Suzato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes. Could you come over here for a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's a newspaper article. It
think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina, indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear to be too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child in that case, even if you push really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain listlessness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear. You might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs that attention and his logic that seems a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mrs. Otto. It's just 1 or 2 keywords in his deductions that seem to let him down. So, I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them out for alternatives. What do you think? Switch out some keywords in his deductions? Yes, but very tactfully. I'm sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry. Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Ah, what? Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Here we go. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now, we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement?
The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport.
I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard?
I doubt it's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though.
It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters.
Alright, but how?
I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott.
I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on.
Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholm's deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san.
Why am I the one to do something about this?
Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch that around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott going to use those enormous shears for?
Well, that's odd.
Yes!
You were on the verge of using those shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose.
And here we go.
Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth.
Oh, no. If only I'd managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected.
The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary.
Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that the old man was really a young woman in disguise. Did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry. You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room, deducing facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all. No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction, as a whole, has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best. Oh, yeah. Oh man, the story is definitely gonna go places like that. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikola Pavlova. Ah!
You're right. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone.
Man, I'm struggling trying to land a Russian accent. Conclusion, a ballerina on the run. Oh, listen to that music and the way that it ramps up. It's so good. Right? Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Well, well, well. Look what we have here.
Yes!
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. I believe this tiara is worn on stage by the dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. Catching up on chat. Oh, that's interesting. I've never really read the original stories of Sherlock Holmes, so that would be really interesting. I guess it makes sense because I've heard some of the terms like Baskerville, and I guess it would make sense because if they want to play off of that, what better way to play off of it than this, you know? And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no. Yes,
You left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking the precious tiara with you.
Ah! I have no one, no family, no friends. I'm all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia? It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's a runaway all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright. I will tell you everything. There is no point to hiding it now.
Come, come, let us not be hasty.
What?
There remains one unsolved mystery about you.
Mystery? What do you mean?
You staunchly refuse to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever even laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf.
He's completely changed tact with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all of this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you really think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Indeed it is. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Burya. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. There was exactly the same notice in our cabin too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. Oh dear, I'm sure the punishment would be severe, Naruhodo-san. You'd probably be left adrift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I?
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That
is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the last item as forbidden in the vessel's rule of passage, a pet. Ah! There we are. Elementary. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not Grimsby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Burya is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet, to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell. That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me.
Yeah, she's just a kid in all of this, and like, ugh.
I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disguise myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened. I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand, and at that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door.
He still doesn't let that go.
Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You are right. It is my dear friend inside.
My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew, your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. Yes, alright. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something? Mr. Shulm's great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. I just love how he just, like, interrupts everything. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes, what? Observe your wrists. My... Oh. Ah, your hands are cuffed again. What? But, how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was.
I feel like I'm starting to, like, step into, like, the voices that I wanted to do a bit better, which I'm glad for. So, alright, let's talk to you.
Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh, that's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life.
You wish to forget? A challenging proposition, when you have that striking tiara as a reminder.
But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only little food and water. And we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So, you ran away to protect yourself. Yes. And the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin.
If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum.
Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but...
Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Burya stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it, of course. So, how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard?
Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard.
That is not your business.
Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry, what was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here, too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same.
A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, in fact.
Yes, Mr. Shoei. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board, according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell any of the crew. If they found out my precious...
Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt.
Ah! So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit?
Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you?
Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then?
You may well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really now? Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So, you'd eat your friends. Well, remember that. So goofy, loves this. Well, it would appear that this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Okay. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victims' cabins are connected together. Oh. Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No. I don't know anything. Oh. Uh-oh.
Excuse me, Mr. Royal.
Yes, what? Wow, she's fast.
Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please.
All right. I will come now. What?
You must leave, now.
Oh, no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please, don't worry about yourself, Mr. Roylock.
Get out! The passenger said out. Or do you want me to throw you out?
It looks like we're going to have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. Do I want to call it there? I'm tempted to call it here. I think I'm gonna call it here. Like I said at the top of the stream, my throat's been a little bit sore today, and I'm worried about kind of pushing my limits. And I know this game well enough to know that if I try to just push forward, that it's gonna lock me into a lengthier section. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a stream here. So we'll pick up again next week. I think this gives us a nice clean break to be able to just take on next week. Again, as a reminder, the end of the month, I do a specialty stream that is going to be a casual speedrun of Mega Man X for this month, which we've done before. It was kind of a not great run, so we'll try to do it again, but better this time. So hopefully learn from the mistakes I made and not having a clue where I was supposed to go. But yeah, so that'll be at the end of the month. And like I said, we will be back here next week for more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and unraveling the mystery of Cosmo's death from there. So, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!